of my favorite records, 1954, Dave Brubeck Quartet, Jazz Goes to College. Paul Desmond's solo on Take the A Train, I think, could be the basis of an entire course of jazz improvisation. But for our time together today, I've picked 3 concepts, 3 ideas, and 3 ways you can apply these to your practice. So grab your instrument, let's go. Hi, and welcome to the Saxophone Academy. I'm Dr. Wally Wallace. If you're new here, welcome. Please do consider subscribing if you're a returning student. Let's get to work. Now today we have 3 lessons that we're going to apply from Paul Desmond's solo. The first is blues as a dominant function. We're going to start by listening to his introduction, the little intro phrase leading into his solo. Let's take a listen once. So what is this lead-in? It's a 2-5, often referred to as a turnaround, because it's at the very end of the form, turning around, going back to the top of the form. There could be an other jazz tunes, a 3-6-2-5, sometimes a 2-5, or other chords, referred to as a turnaround. It's that ending pull back to the home. What creates this pull? Well, largely it's the dominant function, that 5 chord that wants to pull home to 1. So what Paul Desmond's doing here is using the blues as a dominant function, creating tension, getting to the home key. We're in concert C here, so on alto saxophone, we're in A major. So that E dominant pull, playing the blues over that. Let's listen to this slowly and hear if you can hear each note of the blues scale descending as it gets to the resolution in A major. Now, what makes this so cool? Why did I hear this and immediately fall in love? Well, a lot of beginning improvisers, myself included when I was starting out, trying to learn the blues scales and treated it as a blunt instrument, a hammer that you would smack over a lot of different chord changes. Paul Desmond has a more surgical approach here, using it in a very stylistically cool way. He's not playing up and down, noodling arrhythmically on the blues scale. It's blues-inflected notes in a descending pattern with great rhythmic inflection. Listen again in context and see how it pulls in a hip way. Next thing I love about this is he doesn't linger on the blues sound. The blues is a dominant function here, pulling to the A major chord, and then he doesn't continue with the blues. It doesn't get old. He immediately launches into A major, kind of like literally, with the A major scale ascending. So we have that salty or that sweet, and then we have the sour or the, well, use your own culinary analogy here. So we have the blues sound, then immediately he pivots, and we have the sound of the home key, the major. It doesn't linger too long. Listen to this immediate transition from the blues to the major. Then, how would you practice this? Here's what I'm going to recommend. In Take the A Train, the second phrase is a 2-5-1 of the home key of the 1 chord, A major. So put the first 2 phrases, the first 8 bars on a loop, practice improvising, and then when you get to that 2-5, which is a dominant, predominant to dominant function, use that blues lick. Use it literally as first, play what he played as a dominant over the 2-5, and hear it resolve, and then start to experiment and come up with your own ideas using blues resolving to the major. So now you've used the blues as a dominant function. Congratulations. If you hit the like button, you will earn your first Desmond Merit Badge. So please do that. And also, I almost forgot to mention, in 2 weeks, December 5th, I have a very special announcement, something I've been working on quietly for several 3+ years. I'll have more information in the coming weeks, but I'd love it if you join me on December 5th when we launch this new brand, this new huge project. And I mean, it's a big project that I've been working on. I think you're really going to love it. Lesson number 2, the melodic sequence. Now, a sequence is when you take a musical idea, a motif or a motive, if you've been to American universities, an idea, it can be as simple as an interval in this case. You take this idea and you repeat it at different pitch levels. Let's listen to Paul Desmond's second phrase, the second time the A section happens around this beautiful melodic sequence, this idea he plays at different pitch levels. And the idea that's being sequenced here is simply an interval of falling fifth, but it's the style, the inflection, the rhythm that he plays it with. Of course, that's what makes it cool, but it's a descending fifth. So listen slowly and see if you can hear and anticipate the sound of these intervals as they go down. So for lesson 2, melodic sequences, how do you practice this? Put the first phrase, the 1 chord, the A6 chord leading to that 2 dominant altered chord, put it on a loop and try playing melodic sequences yourself. And here's your prime objective here. Focus on rhythm and feel. As we've seen with Paul Desmond, a lot of notes are going to work. You could sell a lot of different ideas, make sure it feels good. So put that first 4 bars on a loop, make your own sequences, and have fun. Lesson 3, an interjection of BeBop motion. One of the things I love most about Paul Desmond's playing, and you can hear all over this record, is he does interesting new melodic ideas that are kind of outside the normal swing transition. Matter of fact, on this 1954 record, you can hear him kind of experimenting with some interesting exotic Eastern sounding scales over traditional jazz forms. But what is really magical, in my opinion, about Paul Desmond is he explores these ideas. He does these melodic sequences. He does these kind of Eastern-sounding scales, but it never becomes self-indulgent or dull. He does that, then he interjects, kind of relieves the audience with some straight-ahead swing or bebop flavor. And I think it really creates a beautiful contrast. It really brings the whole thing, ties it together in a really unique sound that is Paul Desmond. So in the second A section over the 2-5, he plays a beautiful kind of 2-5 bebop boilerplate-ish phrase. Let's listen to it in context. Now let's slow it down, see if you can hear the independent parts. And this is how I might go about kind of practicing it to get the different sounds, the different voice leanings, and pulling of this 2/5 in my ear. So how might you apply this in your own practice? Well, take the time to memorize it, at least in one key. I think it's good to have one key memorized at first and apply it again and again and again in one key rhythmically in time before we start to put it through other keys. There's, of course, benefit to learning a phrase in multiple keys. Is there benefit to learning something in all 12 keys? Yes. The real question comes to a balance of time and sanity. Is it a better payoff to learn something in 12 keys or in a few commonly used keys and apply it again and again in a more organic way? Both are useful. You just have to decide what's going to be right for you. I do both, but it depends. For this 2/5, apply it to take the A string. So here's how I might practice it. If you were my student in the room with me, we'd put on those first 8 bars, the loop together, those 2 phrases, and then we just play the first phrase and then plug in that 2/5. We would improvise for 4 bars, plug in the 2/5. Improvise for 2 bars, plug in the 2/5. And then the last step, we would improvise for 2 bars, and then we would just try to create the style, the vibe, the motion of that 2/5. We would just get what's the spirit of what's going on, that maybe a melodic sequence, and then we'd interject a bebop-ish 2/5 on the fly that has that kind of rhythmic motion as the contrast. This is how I might start to approach this. Now, these 3 concepts, these 3 lessons could provide literally a lifetime of study. And I kind of want to dig in more. I've really actually enjoyed learning and practicing these things for our lesson here together. So have some fun with this, practice, and hit me up in the comments. I'm pretty good about answering questions in the comments if it's in a timely manner. We have a decent turnaround time here at the Saxophone Academy. So any questions, let me know in the comments, or let me know which of these concepts you've seen or heard before in the comments. Let's have some discussion going on this topic. I will see you next week. We have a lesson on high tones, making your palm keys sing and ring and not be strident and thin. And then in 2 weeks, I have something very special I want to share with you. So please do tune in as a favor to me. I think you're going to be really excited too. Have a most fantastic week and go practice.